Yo, people. Hello and welcome to the United Enigma. Yo, we've got something to talk about here. We've got to talk about brown envelopes. We've got to talk about scumbaggery. We've got to talk about daylight robbery, highwayman sayings. I know some of you lot read that book back in English class, The Highwayman. We've just watched that in 4K, fiber optic, right in front of our eyes. We've watched Man United have our chain snatched by this referee. And I'm not the kind of person that I typically go in on a referee because I believe it tends to be a cop-out. But when it's just so blatant, I'm sorry, you've got to say something about it at some point. Of course, we'll get into some player ratings, but before we get into that, the main talking point, the main stipulation, we've got to talk about those decisions made by the referee. The first one, I'm sorry, but anyone in this chat who is of the opinion that that foul or that apparent foul, which was red carded by Rashford, was worthy of being a red card, you have not played football to any substantial level. There's a big difference from watching the game and having an understanding of football to actually living, breathing, touching grass and balling. Any person that's played a decent number of football matches, played football at any level before an extended period of time, has come across either themselves attempted what Rashford did or has had it done to them. You put your body across a defender and then you open up your body, widen your stance to make sure that you're able to sort of intercept their position, shield the ball, get your body across, and then ease them out of the way. That's all Rashford was doing. Yeah, so that's all Rashford doing. It is something that's done time and time throughout football. And yet for some reason, this time around, the ref decided that, you know what? That is a red card worthy tackle. What I always say as well is you need to look at the reaction of other professional footballers on the pitch once a challenge goes in. These guys have all played thousands and thousands of minutes of football. So the fact that upon that incident from Rashford, the Copenhagen players didn't actually react to it, it tells you all you need to know about how they themselves viewed it. They themselves did not even view it as being a red card worthy challenge, which is why they didn't surround the referee, swarm the referee. Because they saw it themselves and probably thought to themselves, that happens every day. That's a normal challenge. If you actually look at the freeze frame, Rashford was looking at the ball throughout. All he did was step his body across, go down to 10 men. But what I would always say is, Man United have a track record of being particularly poor. Yes, when you're 10 men down, you're obviously at a disadvantage. That can always be stated. However, we are particularly poor when we are 10 men down. I mean, you'd argue we're probably crap when we're 11 men up, but this match was one of the few times this year, I'd probably say since the Arsenal game, that we've looked half decent. We moved the ball well. We won the ball back in their final third so many times this game. We won the ball back high. We played some decent patterns of football. We actually scored some goals, and not just we scored goals, we looked like scoring goals today. Pretty much every time we sort of moved the ball through the lines, we looked pretty incisive. We looked like we had even more goals than just 2 in us this game. I mean, of course, we scored 3 in the end, but I'm talking about when we had 11 men on the pitch, we genuinely looked like we could have put them to the sword. 3-4 goals this game. Easy. They weren't creating anything. They had no opportunities at all. We were completely dominating this game. The crowd was quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Then what happens? Red card happens, and in typical Man United fashion, soon after we concede another sloppy goal. Simple ball to the back post, and I must always say, Wan-Bissaka, 1v1 defensively, absolutely phenomenal. Best in the world. Only person that comes close is Kyle Walker. But when it comes to defending that back post, the guy is sloppy at times. At the back post, ball comes across, the man is allowed the freedom of the penalty area to just put the ball back into play, and of course no one covers the other man. So it's a comedy of errors. You got Wan-Bissaka and also Bruno Fernandes, or maybe Bruno Fernandes. Of course, you could argue that Rashford not being on the pitch meant that the winger who would normally track back and cover that space along with Wan-Bissaka wasn't present. Bruno didn't come across. Wan-Bissaka typically at the back post gets caught in no man's land. Then ball comes across. Centre backs don't come out quick enough. Goal. Cool. What do we do next? Penalty is conceded. And that penalty, I am sorry, what do you actually want Maguire to do? What do you actually want him to do? His arm wasn't really in an unnatural position. He was jostling for the play. And some people would argue that the other penalty was given, so that actually equalizes this Maguire penalty. But in my opinion, based on how games have been refereed since VAR's come in. This penalty from the Copenhagen player, I believe that was a penalty, but the Maguire one should not have been a penalty. Yes, we most definitely should have been awarded the Copenhagen one since they gave the Maguire one, but if you actually think about it, Maguire's was not a penalty for the simple fact that look how close the play was. They were literally hugging, and then the guy flicks the ball up. He literally kicks it right next to Maguire onto his arm, and his arm's in the position where all he's trying to do is jostle for play. Of course, it's a contact sport. He's trying to get his arm around the opponent to make sure that he's able to get goal side. All Maguire was trying to do was get goal side, use his arms to get around him. Then the guy literally, from point blank range, kicks the ball against his arm when his arm was at a normal height, in a normal position, in a normal phase of play. He gives a penalty for that. Well taken penalty, I must say, from the Copenhagen player, but now we're all of a sudden 2-2. And of course, I know we were 10 men down, but we've seen Liverpool go down to 9 men, and literally Tottenham, a team that's doing very well in the Premier League, took them all the way to the last closing stages of the game to be able to get the win versus them. We've seen Man City at times in the past go down to 10 men and look good. We've seen even Tottenham the other day go down versus Chelsea to 10 men, and yes, Chelsea just scored goals, but before they even went down to 9 men, in fact, Eric Dyer scored a goal that was narrowly given as offside. Bentancur should have scored an opportunity as well. That was down versus a much better team than Copenhagen. They still were somewhat in the game. But when Man United go 10 men down, within minutes we conceded. The penalty should not have been given, don't get me wrong. The red card should not have been given, but we still need to take some level of responsibility. I do blame majority on the referee, of course. I don't tend to do that, but for this game, 100% majority of it is on the referee. But still, we have to take accountability to some extent. We cannot go down to 10 men and all of a sudden we look useless defensively. Useless. Within minutes, we capitulate and allow the first goal in, and the ball gets rolling from there. If we had been able to get to halftime 2-1, 2-0 still, we probably win the game. But in typical Man United fashion, the minute adversity strikes, goal conceded straight away after completely dominating them. If we had operated the same way we did from halftime till they started scoring later on in the game, we would have won this game. If we had started from 10 men the same way we started the second half, we would have won this game comfortably. But we capitulated. This referee needs calling out because that was wild. And me personally, I believe the only reason he even gave the Maguire the penalty for us was to salvage some sort of respect because of the poor decision he made in the first half. That's the only reason we got the penalty, because he knew that his neck was on the line. There'd be talks of UEFA Lona, UEFA conspiracies if he didn't give Man United a penalty. But that just ain't it. That just ain't it, and it needs calling out. We're going to go into the player ratings now, just going to go straight into it, of course. Onana today, he made a lot of good saves, to be honest. His distribution was good today, both especially in the short game. Long game, it's a bit difficult to judge on that because Højlund, as much as he's tall and physical, he's not actually the best at winning the ball aerially. But today, Onana was good. Saved what could be saved. All of the goals that went in couldn't be saved. The first one, no. Second one, great penalty. The third one from that kind of range, from that close, you can't bank on the attacking player to score. And then the last one was just a great goal, to be fair. Like you can't even hate too much. That goal, the last one was great, well taken. So today, I'll just give him a solid 6. He wasn't at fault really for any of the goals. Maybe you could argue a little bit here and there, maybe for the third one, but it was all right. Brilliant result, pressure's back on. So are you saying you wanted there to be more pressure on the manager? Are you saying this because you want Ten Hag out that badly, Zayn? Tell me. Next person we're looking at. Is Dalot. Dalot for me today was very good up until the point where he napped and went asleep at the back post. And it's funny because typically from Dalot we see that this guy is normally very, very, very good at the back post. Aerially, he's very strong. Positionally at the back post, he is very strong as well. He rarely gets beaten by a fullback at the back post or a winger. But today, he lost his man at the back post, and of course he had to tap it in the end, which wasn't good. But outside of that mistake, on the ball, he was absolutely fantastic. The amount of times out of trouble, great touches, great bits of dribbling, passed the ball out really well. He was very good. Even when we went down to 10 men, he was the only outlet. If you notice, when we went down to 10 men, the times that Onana did play out from the back, he would always give it to Dalot. Dalot was very strong in build-up today, very strong. If he hadn't made that mistake, he would most definitely be up for being man of the match today. Very much. He was very good today up until that mistake. And it's a pity they had a hand in the goal that put them ahead temporarily. So you hate to see it. You do hate to see it. But Dalot, I'll give him a 6. He would have been a lot higher, maybe around about the 7s or 8s. But he definitely has to be knocked down a point because of that mistake. Overall, it was a great performance, but that mistake, you got to give him a point deduction. He's a defender, and his job description, first and foremost, is to prevent goals going in, and he had a part to play in a goal going in, so got to do that. Next person we're looking at now. Maguire. Maguire as well, he was very, very good today. Some of the passing from Maguire, no agendas on this channel. No agendas. Some of the passing from Maguire was absolutely phenomenal. Splitting defensive with his passing. His long-range passing at times was very good as well. Aerially, as we all know, he was dominant. I don't attribute the goal conceded from the penalty to him as well because that wasn't fair. I don't think that was a penalty, should not have been given, so I don't even look at him really for that situation. You could argue that either him or Varane should have attacked the ball and stopped the opportunity from Copenhagen to score that first goal. Should have attacked the ball when it came across. Other than that, it was actually a very good goal, very good bit of play from him. So Maguire as well, I'd give him. It's difficult to give a defender a high score when, you just conceded 6 goals, but he wasn't really at fault for most of it. The goals came from areas other than the first one that wasn't his domain. So I could say 4 goals, sorry. So I'm actually going to give him a 6 as well. It was a solid performance, to be fair. Next person we're looking at, Evans. Of course, this guy, he weren't even on for barely any of the game, so I'm going to just give it a flat 5. There's nothing to talk about here at all. Moving on. Next person we're looking at, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, you saw some of the good, some of the bad. First goal, I believe, at the back post once again, and if you've been watching that for long enough now, you know that this guy at the back post is brazy. At the back post, he's always doing something funny. He gets sucked in towards the centre-back and leaves the wide man exposed. He gave the wide man for Copenhagen the freedom of the box to put in a simple cushion pass into the man that scored. Defensively, typically he was great. Any 1v1 duel, he either shepherded the man out of danger or slide tackled and won the ball every single time. In the first half, he was very good in build-up too, to be fair. Dribbled the ball out well, passed the ball out well, and he was actually contributed to the goal we eventually scored. He actually contributed to that goal. Very good reverse pass to McTominay, put the ball across, goal. But let's call a spade a spade. Like I said with Dalot, if you're a defender, your job description is to defend, and he, my opinion, was part of the reason why we conceded that first goal, getting sucked in towards the defenders as opposed to making sure your man at the back post is being fully covered first and foremost. Didn't do that, and then we conceded from it. So Wan-Bissaka, again, I would have given him a much higher rating, but because he conceded and helped them concede that goal, I'd have to drop him down now to 6. I was initially looking at maybe a 7, but since he had a part to play in that goal conceded, it's going to be down to 6 for me. Next person we're looking at, Eriksen. Similar sort of thing, got subbed off really early, even in the first half. I was actually pretty good in the first half, to be fair, but because he only played a half of football, we'll just give him a 5. It's got to be a 5. Next person we're looking at now, McTominay. McTominay was good at times, drove through midfield pretty well. He offered the energy he always does, but at times he could have moved the ball a little bit quicker. McTominay tends to struggle a lot in terms of progressing the ball. There was times where I thought to myself, yo, just open up your body now and play that ball with the left feet. But no, he checks back and gives it behind because he doesn't have the passing range. He doesn't have the vision. Look what we're talking about. So Ten Hag out. We don't deserve to play in this competition. And to be honest, we don't need to be in any European competitions. We need focus on getting top 6. Rashi needs to fix his anger issues. So Charismatic Enigma, by the way, nice name. You tell me, bro, why you think Rashford needs to fix his anger issues and why you think you'd attribute that red card to Rashford. I assume you're a football fan, Charismatic Enigma, so you must have either watched a lot of football or played a lot of football. Please tell me how that action warranted a red card. Keeping in mind that if you've played football, you've done that same move. Putting your body across the play to shield the ball and let the ball run across you. Defenders do that, attackers do that all the time, either to gain offensive or defensive advantages. Just because in this circumstance, his foot accidentally was planted on the opponent's foot as well, how does that make it a foul? Because I guarantee you watch Premier League football this weekend or more Champions League football, that exact move will play out. But in that case, you probably won't get a foot on the ankle. If you watch the PSV versus Lens game, and I'm going to say it now, the PSV versus Lens game, during the first half, a Lens player runs across a PSV player's foot, stamps on the guy's foot, and in fact, it's a different circumstance. It was the defensive player attacked the PSV player, stepped on his foot, they looked at it on VAR, the VAR decided no red card. So why in this game, when the guy is doing a move that is not a foul, he can't really see where the player's foot is, and he ends up planting his foot on the ankle, by accident is given as a red card, but an intentional, or you could argue intentional foul by the Lens player, stamp on the foot, was not given as a red card. Make that make sense to me. So that's why I ask yourself, Charismatic Enigma, you tell me why that was a red card. Tell me in the chat. I said for McTominay though, back to McTominay, it's a 5 from me, quite frankly. Next person we're looking at, moving on swiftly, Bruno Fernandes. That penalty he took was absolutely insane. And of course, he had a part to play in another one of the goals we scored, which was the one that was the tap-in from Højlund. Højlund's second goal, he had a part to play in. He was good at times. Of course, having Bruno shifted out to the right-hand side is always an issue. He doesn't offer the same amount that he can in the middle. I wouldn't put that on him, but he was moved out of position, didn't get to offer much. We went down to 10 men. He was just working hard. Like I said, took the goal well, contributed as well to another goal. It was an okay performance for Bruno, but when you're a player that's creative, you want to get on the ball a lot, create chances, get goals. When you're down 10 men, you're not going to have a lot of the ball. So players like Bruno will always suffer when your team's got less of the ball. So today, I'd say Bruno. It was a solid 6. It was actually a better performance than we've seen from Bruno. Recently, he's been really bad. So today, I have to give Bruno a bit of credit where it's due. Scored a goal, contributed elsewhere, and worked tirelessly when we were down to 10 men. So it was all right from Bruno today. But he can still go up levels. We've seen much more from him, to be fair. Next, Garnacho. It was a hit and miss. It was a situation where a couple of good touches here and there. He was quite tidy on the ball at times, but also 1v1 again. The Garnacho I saw in the past that was very direct, and not just direct, but actually able to quite consistently beat and trouble his man. The fullback at times sort of seemed like he had a good handle of him, and this is a Copenhagen fullback. It's not as if he's coming up against a Mazraoui at Bayern, or he's playing against a Carvajal at Real Madrid. He's just playing against some guy, some jobber at Copenhagen, and he was struggling at times to get past him. Been a common trend now for the last few games. I've seen Garnacho incapable of beating his man 1v1. Same thing with Livramento. The difference is at least Livramento is a very good fullback, but he got clamped and eaten alive every single time. Garnacho, I think, needs to improve on his 1v1 play. He's still neat and tidy on the ball. He still had a part to play in the second goal, and of course he worked absolutely tirelessly. When we were down to 10 men, you saw him non-stop running up and down, pressing here, pressing there, tracking back. So in terms of his effort today, it was absolute. Then when we went down to 10 men, this guy did not stop running. So on that regard, I'll have to give him a little bonus for the hard work. However, Garnacho today probably gets no more than a 6 for me. Horrendous referee. Bruno was better today. Yeah, he was better today than previous matches, but it still needs to be improved. Kasimoto here says, sack the manager. Today's not the day that I'd be screaming sack the manager. In terms of the overall landscape where we currently are at, I can understand the sentiment of wanting to sack the manager. And to be honest, I'm at the point where I'd probably say the same thing. However, today is not the match. Based on today's performance, the events of today's game, today is not the match where I'd be calling to sack the manager. Previous matches, yes. This is not the match to be talking Ten Hag out, in my opinion. The ref is useless. The ref is useless. That's why he's on the thumbnail, isn't it? Next play we're looking at. Højlund, 2 goals today. Worked tirelessly. For people in the chat, please answer this question for me. Why does Højlund get subbed off routinely, seems at the moment, around the 70th minute? Is there that potential problem people talking about with his back? Because we obviously needed goals. And at the end of the game, when there was a shot taken by, I think, Bruno Fernandes and there was a spillage, if we had a natural striker on the pitch, I'm sorry, but Højlund probably makes that darting run, anticipates a spillage on the ball, and who knows, maybe he gets onto the spilled ball and maybe he has a tap-in. But we didn't have a natural striker on the pitch. The midfielders and defenders, Varane was there, Mount was there. None of them made that run. None of them anticipated the potential spill of the ball. They're not strikers, they're not attackers. They haven't got that instinct. So Højlund being taken off, that's the second game I've seen him getting taken off around the 70th minute. Is that potential fitness issue with the back injury, is this a problem? Is he going to be routinely taken off around that time, or was it just today to conserve his energy and because the manager just wanted to try something different with Mount? That's left to be seen. Of course, we need to watch that. AB, Ethio Music, Erik Ten Hag out. Should have never been here. Okay. This AB's saying here that Ten Hag should have never even been the manager. People, we're nearly at 120. Make sure you get us to 120. We're nearly there. But in terms of my rating for Højlund, holder play wasn't as good as I've seen in previous matches, but he scored 2 goals. For the 2 goals, I give him a 7. He dropped to score goals. He's been starving for goals recently. His holder play could have been improved at times. The overall play could have been a little bit better. Scored 2 goals, and I believe if the referee hadn't received his little brown envelope and decided to rob us from this game, I do genuinely think he maybe could have scored a hat-trick today, but it is what it is, man. But it is what it is. Next person we're looking at, bro, doesn't want to play Ajax ball. Lord have mercy on this bold, this bold. Let's not bold. I don't finish the sentence, mate. Rashford. You know what? As much as I don't blame him for the red card, and I don't think it was a red card in any shape or form, only people that think it's a red card, I'll stress this, unless you haven't played football, if you've played football, there's no way that's a red card. No one that's played football thinks it's a red card. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. But you still got a red card. And irrespective of the red card, the performance was decent before the red card, but you got a red card, so you have to be marked on that. So Rashford today, yo, it's gonna have to be a 4, just for what happened. Like when you get red carded, as much as I don't believe it's your fault, you have to take a hit in terms of your rating. And as I said before, it's not exactly like he was pulling up trees. This guy wasn't exactly playing prime Dino football before he got the red card. He was playing all right. Links played quite well. A couple of good touches around the corner. Decent. Was somewhat involved in the goal we scored as well. But he was also involved in the pivotal moment that basically led to our loss today. As much as I don't blame him for it, and he shouldn't have been a red card, it still happened. So you gotta take a little knock on your rating for that, but it is what it is, man. Next person we're looking at now. Varane. Varane was good today. Everything in the air, typically, he always dominates the situation. On the ground, playing up in the back, there's a couple of shaky moments, but he was good playing up in the back as well. None of the goals that were scored apart from maybe the first goal from Copenhagen, you could argue the centre-backs could have maybe come across a little bit faster, but it was a little bit more on Maguire's side. Other than that, it was typical Varane performance. Any duels he had, won it. Anything in the air, dominated. Varane, why he wasn't starting over Johnny Evans, that's the bigger discussion. Not whether he played well or not. The discussion to have about Varane here is why the hell wasn't Varane starting this game? Why? There is no way in hell this manager had the audacity to keep five Champions League on the bench in a pivotal Champions League game to play a relegated Leicester centre-back. Make that make sense. So Varane today, it was a solid 6 performance. Nothing crazy, just a steady performance. But my question, and I'll say it again, why in the world wasn't this man starting regardless? Now we have Evans out injured, and as we all know from Varane, the guy's injury prone. I can very much see a situation where we're starting Maguire and Lindelof, Magaluf. We got Magaluf at the back. And you know what happens in Magaluf? Just drinks, fam. Man are drunk defenders. Casimoto here says, we need Sancho back. Why the manager punished him like this? Bro, Sancho's out here taking lunch in the car park. He ain't coming back. Let's stop talking about that guy. He is finished. The guy is getting his lunch delivered by the tea lady to the car park for him to eat in his car. It is what it is, man. Like, yeah, AJ here. Let's get us to 120, man. We're nearly there. Next thing we're looking at now. Mason Mount. Bro, he can hold that 6. When he came on, he basically just ran around. In fact, 6, 5. Why is this guy at the club? We were 10 men down, of course, so you can't expect him to do much. But this guy, every single football fan worth his salt said, why are Man United buying this guy? He does not fit the system. He does not improve or actually fit holes and gaps our midfield needed. Why is he here? You bench your £60 million signing for McTominay you wanted to sell. He comes on and does less than nothing. Negative performance. He was played essentially as a false 9, and right now, I'm calling this guy a false footballer. Don't talk about false 9, he's a false footballer at the moment. The performances are absolutely insane. 007 settings. If not for that corner assist to Casemiro, he would be the new 007. Talk about Mudryk, it'd be him. So this guy, he needs to pull up his socks, or just he needs to pick up or shut up. Because at the moment, his performances, he just doesn't add anything. He runs around and does F4. No goals, no assists, no chance created, no crunching tackles. He can't even get the crowd up with a little passion merchant crunching tackle. It's crazy. AB Ethereal music. Karma works. CR7 is the goal. So come on now. Come on, AB. I assume you're a Man United fan. Don't tell me you're here in the chat actually happy that we're taking L's because we got dunked on and CR7, your fanboy, got removed from the club. Please tell me you're not siding with CR7. I get it if you think that CR7 should have been treated poorly, but that's not a reason for you to be happy we're losing, unless you're a Real Madrid fan. Next person we're looking at. Amrabat. Amrabat. 5. You just keep the 5. Honestly speaking, I'm sure most of you guys probably gassed this guy up quite a bit. He seemed like he was exactly what we needed in midfield. But so far, what's he actually done? In terms of even ball winning, I genuinely thought I was going to see a man that was winning the ball like clockwork for fun. Winning the ball, tackles flying in. But anytime I see sort of a 1v1 duel, even in this game versus players of the caliber of Copenhagen, I'm seeing him get a ram pass like he's not there. Chasing shadows. He's so slow to turn. Like I said during the match, top G, stick to kickboxing and podcasting, smoking cigars and driving in Bugattis. Because right now he's looking like top G Haram Rabat, not Amrabat. Haram football. It's not looking good right now. He needs to sort it out because I was expecting a lot from this man. He looked good in terms of the Fiorentina clips, and I know everyone probably watched that Mbappe clip at least 100 times during the summer. I know, don't lie. Don't lie, you watched that Mbappe clip like 100 times. And probably creamed your pants over that clip. So I see the hype. I was part of it. I won't lie. I was part of the hype train as well. But right now, his distribution, it don't seem all that. In terms of his long and short game, it just seems above average. I was expecting to see, because he's a player in Fiorentina. He had the most progressive passes in Serie A last season. More than even people like Lobotka at Napoli. So I was thinking this guy's going to be a progressive passing beast, but he's been poor moving the ball forward from the back. Actually playing the ball out from the back in terms of dribbling doesn't look the best. Ball winning in his duels, he tends to lose a lot of duels. Right now, this man's been losing loads of duels. Aerially, doesn't really matter. We all know he doesn't offer much in terms of striking the ball, shooting, but that's not why he was brought in. The main thing was to control possession, move the ball through the lines, and ball win. Right now, in all these 3 categories, he's not been doing it, not been cutting the mustard. Hopefully, when the team overall improves, he gets better. But right now, he looks like he don't look like the guy. And right now, those stories that were coming out about the scouting team not being happy with Amrabat signing, not thinking he's going to cut in the Premier League, and the fact that we ended up getting him on loan rather than just paying the 15 to 20 million, you know what? Those stories are starting to seem realer and realer and realer. And as much as the Man United PR train is crazy, sometimes the PR train is heading to the right destination. I can't lie. So Casimoto says here, Ten Hag is not a good manager. He is fighting his players. I mean, the guy has had so many fights with these players. But to be fair, these players have been a problem for a long time now. So is it really that big of a surprise that a manager who wants to be more of a dictatorial approach to things, a more, combative approach to managerial duties, he's come in and he wants to be a bit like a dictator. So it's no surprise that these guys who have routinely got managers sacked aren't happy with his approach, because they're used to being able to get away with what they want to do. But you are right though. I do think that Ten Hag, there may be issues in the change room, but today it didn't seem that way. The players were genuinely fighting. But as we know by now, the players aren't good enough. I'm not happy we're losing, but I'm happy to see Erik Ten Hag losing. It's the same thing though. Maybe, but I do get what you're trying to say, but it's the same thing. But let's be serious. Maybe Amrabat will only be good when the team as a whole picks up some form. Because everyone, to be honest, has been looking meaty, and you are very correct about that. The team has been looking meaty as a whole. I believe Amrabat was probably the last player to look at. Yeah, that's the last player to look at. Overall, if I look at the manager, what do you guys think the manager should have done to improve? I think that he could have been potentially quicker on the draw with the changes. I feel like the minute we went down to 10 men, you put on Amrabat straight away over Eriksen because you immediately know that you need those legs in the midfield. That's one thing that could have been changed. I don't think Højlund should have been subbed off. And if you're going to sub off Højlund, because, you know, I'll give him the excuse, the benefit of the doubt of the fitness issues with Højlund, you've got to, in that scenario, put Martial on, like for like. Like I said, at the end of the game, Bruno took a shot, keeper spilled it. If we have a natural striker or forward player playing in the 9 role, maybe Martial anticipates it and then also runs onto the ball and gets a tap in. If Højlund was on, I believe he anticipates a spill from the keeper, gets a tap in as well. So that's why you need a natural striker there. Mount was never going to cut. Mount right now, he can barely do the midfielder duties. He can barely do the duties of a midfielder. You put him in the false 9 position. If anything, why not just play Bruno there? At least Bruno's got an attacking instinct. He scores goals. He gets assists. He actually has output. Why not have put Bruno in the false 9, put Mount to do the dog work on the side? Because maybe maybe Mount takes that shot on the edge and Bruno's in that 9 position. Maybe Bruno anticipates it because he's got attacking IQ. As someone that's good at making third man runs. That's a decision I would have made. Put Bruno in the false 9, put Mount out wide. In fact, just don't put Mount on. Martial is the broken man. He's so stiff, he wouldn't have gotten the ball after the... To be fair, you're probably not wrong. He probably would not have had the energy to move towards the ball. It's not even wrong. Ha ha ha. Arsenal fan comes in to chat. Yeah. Alright. Love for the support, people. That's been your match reaction and your player ratings. Got that all sorted out. You tell me, people, in the comment section what you think of the manager. How much of the blame would you attribute today's result, today's performance on Ten Hag? Is it all on the referee in your opinion? Do the players take some of the blame? Or does the manager need to be looked at as well for today's performance? We need to understand, people, before I leave, understand that we are staring down the barrel of being genuinely out of the Champions League in a group with 2 teams, Copenhagen and Galatasaray, that historically, in European football history, have been poor, piss poor versus English sides. Keep that in mind. And we're about to be out of this group. Not even just out into the Europa League, we're talking cleanly knocked out of this competition. For those who are maybe still in support of the manager, tell me, is being completely knocked out of the Champions League in the group stages, does that, in your opinion, if you're Ten Hag in, is that what would flip the switch and move you across to the Ten Hag out brigade? Tell me, let me know if losing in this competition is enough to have you move over to Ten Hag out. Let me know, people. That's been your match reaction. We'll be doing a live show tomorrow. Keep in mind, live show tomorrow. Be here and get ready, man. We've got a lot to talk about, man. Got a lot to talk about. But peace out, people. Good night. Love.